Good morning, rise in freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I am your temporary host, Justin Peterson. I am Austin Peterson's older brother, and I am filling in for him this week while he and his beautiful wife, Steffi, are away in Japan. I've been getting some updates in my family chat that they are having an amazing time. The photographs look absolutely amazing. I think the Japanese even light their trees. Like he's sending me these gorgeous pictures of these beautiful cherry trees which are in blossom. I think that's one of the reasons they went. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they call it the Sakura Festival. I'm not really sure about that, but the trees are like lit too, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I'm so excited they're having fun. I think they're in the chat this morning. I'm going to look over here. Yes, hello. Austin's over there, 9 p.m. in Tokyo. So good morning to Michael. Good morning to Chris Morrill, Robbie. Good morning, Andy. I think it's Andy Opperman. I see Andy O, and I see Austin says that name. Richard, good morning. Camelia's here. Thank you for the Burgundy shout out. I did a reset on my computer yesterday morning because I think the CPU was like at max capacity. So I just turned it off. And so I'm kind of watching the CPU percentage here this morning, giving me the update on what's happening. So thank you everyone yesterday for your patience while I was getting up to speed. It was my first day on the job. And if you've ever had a new job, you know that first day can often be a little nerve-wracking, as you learn the ropes and you kind of get into the swing of what's going on. It can be a little discombobulating. So thank you for your patience while I kind of dealt with all of that. Everybody was so nice. Camellia was so sweet yesterday. She sent me a sweet text after it was over, and she was so encouraging. So, those things don't go unnoticed. So I just really appreciate all the kindness that was extended yesterday. So thank you very, very much. So what else do I have to say? Good morning, everybody. I'm just looking at the chat here. I've got so many windows open. I feel like I'm Captain Picard on the Star Trek Enterprise here. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, thanks, John. John Rail is here. Thank you, Joni, for coming. Good morning. Good morning. Quest, Fanning. Thank you. Elizabeth Press is here, and she's giving me a martini. At this hour, only if I'm in an airport will I take a martini at 8 a.m. in the morning. And when I'm traveling, and then I'll say, but it usually be a Bloody Mary. That's my drink of choice in the morning. That or a mimosa. I don't know if y'all get into mimosas, but that's what I'm doing. So yes, great to see you. Do want to shout out the AP for Liberty shop. I bought a shirt last week. Austin and I made a shirt. And I said, Austin, you got to make the shirt called The Gaze. And so he made this shirt that was absolutely hysterical. So I ordered it. And I got the shipping notification last night that it's on its way. So I can't wait to wear that and just like make everyone go, what the hell is that all about? Because I love to make people go, what the hell? It's a lot of fun. Anyway, if you can check that out, there's so many great things in the store. I'm excited about what Aug's doing, and it's just real fun to see this growing. So good morning also to Rumble. Good morning to YouTube, wherever we're streaming, wherever you're watching, Facebook. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So I love that Austin goes away, and then things in the United States are cool. Everything here is great in the U.S. No problems whatsoever. So we get this story yesterday, of course, and I'm just like, great. This is this Nashville story, and I just kind of am like, okay, Justin, go out and talk about this. Oh, this is usually where I want to hear what everybody else has to say. And so then all the microphones turn to me and I'm like, oh God, no. So, so here we go. So as you probably know, or have been made aware of by this point, there was a shooting yesterday in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm not going to actually say the name of the shooter because I feel like people like that should live in ignominy. They should live in we should not know who they are. And Camellia, there's your $5 word, ignominy. Look it up. It's a good one. We should strike their name from all of the tablets and all of the records of history, and they should be forgotten. But I will say that the victims' names, and those people are Evelyn DeCouse, Holly Scruggs, and William Kenny. And those babies were 9 years old. And Cynthia Peak, Mike Hill, and Catherine Kuntz, those were the administrators and the adults that were all in their early 60s. So I will say their names. So yesterday, a shooter broke into a school in Nashville, Tennessee, and committed this heinous crime. This shooter obviously had also done a plan. So I just got an alert that the shooter had a whole manifesto. They had mapped out the school. So this was a premeditated act. Also, this was a Christian school, I believe. And the shooter had at one time been a student in this school. So, yeah, this isn't the trans visibility that you want, right? This is not what you want. Was this a hate crime against Christians? I kind of am prone to think it was. There were so many things yesterday that happened in the media and the way that this story was being spun that really just showed how dishonest the media is and how they're really playing a game, because they're so quick everyone is so quick, obviously, after a shooting to try to place blame and to point the finger at who did this and what's the reason for that. But when the media is the mainstream media is starting to say, oh, well, it's because, of conservatives, then I start to get my hackles up. Again, I have to say, I'm a liberal-ish person. I'm not really a conservative, but I'm always team underdog. I'm always like, maybe that's my parents, raising me. I'm always like I'm always rooting for the underdog. Let's see where I was going to go with this. Yeah, so for example, as soon as the shooting was being talked about in the media, the mainstream media was saying, well, conservative rhetoric made this happen. And I was saying yesterday in the show that when Posey Parker had gotten hit with tomato paste in New Zealand, that a lot of the rhetoric from the trans rights activists, and I have to make always that distinction because trans people are not trans activists. Not all trans people are trans activists. Not all gay people are gay activists, and on and on and on. They said, well, she just hadn't opened her mouth. She wouldn't have gotten, she wouldn't have gotten assaulted. And again, make it make sense, because these people who say these things are also the same people who say that if a woman wears a skirt that's too short, she shouldn't be raped. Like make those two things make sense to me. Like you can't say someone deserves a behavior of violence because of something that they say or they wear. I mean, that's completely against at least my liberal principles. But I don't expect in this day and age for people to really be consistent to their principles. And does that sound so black-pilled? But I really don't. I don't think people are. They don't think about their principles. And I think whatever the public opinion is, that's where people are going to go. Just looking at the, that's another point that JGJ had mentioned here. Yeah. Okay. So there was also, on April 1st, there is a Trans Day of Vengeance that's being planned. I'll just kind of get to that too. I don't have a screenshot of that, but it is, you can look it up on social media. On April 1st, a bunch of activists were going to have a Trans Day of Vengeance. And I just have to say, the gay rights movement never used this language. Like, so how many civil rights battles were fought using language like that? I can't think of any. Did the civil rights movement use that language, Day of Vengeance? Did the gay rights movement use those words, vengeance? Did the women's rights movements use that language and that rhetoric? I don't understand why this group gets a free pass to use this kind of insightful, clearly violent language. But again, these are people who are also believing in this leftist ideology that says that words are violence, which I don't agree with either. Words are words. They're not violent. That's a very postmodern idea. If you ever want to really read a really great book, there's a book by Stephen Hicks on postmodernism and free speech, and that's a really great book if you ever want to sort of take a deep dive in how the left has perverted the idea of freedom of speech to try to sequester and suppress speech, which my mother used to be known as my grandmother, my dad's mom. My dad's mom, my grandma Rose, used to say to my mother, "That's my freedom of speech daughter-in-law." So I guess Austin and I got it by rights because our mom was super freedom of speech oriented. But yeah, the media imbalance really did start right away in terms of trying to pin this on conservatives. Some of the tweets that I saw were to the effect of, well, this took place in Nashville, and Nashville is where the Daily Wire is. So clearly, Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles and that other guy, Matt Walsh, they're to blame for this atrocity. And again, I come back to this idea of, are all of us not, do we all have no self-control anymore? Are we all at the whims of other people's dictates? Do we have no ability to control ourselves? I'm just going to do something because that person made me do it. That sounds like kindergarten logic to me. Like, Bobby, I hit Bobby over the head because he took my crayon. Like, I thought we learned these lessons in kindergarten. So yeah, and of course, then the rhetoric around gun grabbing starts, right? And everyone's like, we're going to take your guns. We're going to take the guns. I had a friend of mine on Facebook, God love him, and he was just like, he said, F your guns, F the Second Amendment. And I'm just like, oh dear. And I know that these feelings are emotional. When things like this happen in the country, everyone gets super emotional and everyone wants to go to these knee-jerk reactions because it's horrific. Children being murdered is horrific. It's horrible. But people, they go into these knee-jerk reactions. And the thing that I guess I would say to my friend who wants to get rid of the Second Amendment is people in power will never give up their guns. They'll be glad that you've given up yours because you'll be defenseless, but people in high positions of power will never disarm themselves. You want to live in a society with no guns, good luck, because the people in power will never do that, will never give up their guns. So, God, do I sound like a Republican? Oh my gosh, what's going on? I can hear my brother all the way in Japan going, oh, what's my brother doing? He's crazy. Yeah, so it's a real nasty thing. But the other thing too is that with the gun grabbing, this is another thing a point I was going to make. The COVID situation really opened my eyes to so much of what is going on in terms of how people are wanting to use virtue as a way to get rid of other people's rights, right? So for example, the gun grabbers and the people who want to give up their guns, they'll always be like, oh, it's okay. I'll just give up my gun. It's fine. I'm doing my part. It's for the greater good. I care about other people, right? Meanwhile, as Austin said a couple weeks ago, people that are armed don't get into cattle cars, right? People that have the ability to defend themselves are not going to be encroached upon by authoritarian or totalitarian governments. So, oh my gosh, who am I? Who is talking out of my mouth? These are not thoughts I would have had five years ago. So everyone can change. Everyone can change. But yeah, these people who want to get rid of guns, I'm like, your enslavement will come through your desire to be seen as a virtuous person. Right. And I think this is why Ben Franklin's quote about safety, right? People who want safety. It's like they don't, I can't remember the whole quote. So somebody in the chat will say it, right? Say the word, say the line about Ben Franklin and safety, deserving neither. Yeah, they don't care. I mean, it's like the gated communities, right? Rich people and powerful people will live in gated communities with their guns while the rest of us sort of are left to our own devices. That doesn't sound like a free country to me. Yeah. So, and as I said before, the Trans Day of Vengeance was going to be scheduled for April 1st. And I hope that they change the language on that. I hope they change the wording on that. But here's the other thing that was so amazing yesterday about this situation. The mainstream media was flummoxed. Ooh, Camellia, there's another $5 word. Flummoxed. They were absolutely flummoxed about the gender of this particular murderer. And there was so much back and forth in the Twitter sphere, and people were losing their freaking minds. But what I found really interesting was this image from the one of the, from the New York Times. So let me see if I can share this with you guys. So, yeah, I just thought this was brilliant. It said, tough editorial decisions were made at the New York Times today. It's rare for a woman to commit a mass shooting. So this came out quite early. And of course, this is the New York Times, right? This is the company and the news cathedral that wants us all to, toe the party line when it comes to issues of race, gender, sex, and all of this. And they're misgendering this assassin, this murderer. And this is the thing, and then someone under the comments said, the New York Times are running out of narratives over there to shift the blame onto conservatives. Yeah. So they're like, well, you are trans until you commit a crime, and then you're not trans. We're going to disabuse, you're not going to have your, no, you're not trans. You're not really trans. That's kind of the game that I feel that they're playing here with this. And this went back and forth for quite some time. Let me see if this second one is something too. Yeah. So this. I thought this was another brilliant tweet about yesterday's situation. If I understand this correctly, if a shooter has right-wing views, then the right's rhetoric is responsible. If the shooter has left-wing views, then the right's policies are responsible. Very convenient. And I guess what I would say to this is that this goes right alongside the idea of this. I've been on Austin's show and I've talked a little bit about Herbert Marcuse's essay on repressive tolerance. Basically, the idea of repressive tolerance is that anything that the left does ever is always good. Anything that the right does is never good. And even if the left uses violence to achieve its means, it's still seen as a good because it pushes the needle forward. The ratchet only moves to the left. And so what you're seeing here is this idea written on this tweet here, that no matter what happens, even if the left does something, then it's the right is responsible. So, but also this narrative of you deserved it. I'm like, when we were saying stop Asian hate, right? That was happening, it's been going on as Asians are facing more discrimination and abuse. We're not saying to them, can you guys just be less Asian? Can you just be less Asian? It's a very disgusting argument. So, and I just can't imagine being the parent of a child and seeing that it had been killed and seeing all of this rhetoric going on, But then imagine your president going to the White House and being more excited about ice cream, right? Because yesterday they showed I don't have the clip, I can't play sound, I'm so sorry. I'm only at grade 1 of this work, you guys. I am not at like top tier, graduate level of OBS and being able to do the sound. But yesterday in the Oval Office, Biden said, well, he came down for ice cream. He was really excited for the ice cream. And I'm just like, what kind of Roman Empire Nero is fiddling while Rome burns is going on here? What in the busted Roman Republic is happening up in this situation? And I can't imagine being the parent and seeing that from my president, and then seeing this literal moral panic of people worrying about how to gender a murderer, your child's murderer. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, there's a word, here's another $5 word for you, gravitas, right? You would expect that the president would have some, gravitas when it comes to this kind of stuff, and not to just get excited about seeing really cute looking kids in the back and having some ice cream. Also, related to this, recently a Wayne State professor said that killing those you disagree with is more admirable than shouting them down. And lest you think I'm joking, oh no, I can get you the little clip here. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, here we go. Let me just pull this over here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so hopefully you can see that. Yeah, professor, it's more admirable to kill a racist, homophobic, transphobic speaker than to shout them down. Stephen Shaviro had some thoughts on free speech on campus the other day, but we won't see them on Twitter as he's locked down his account, which they always do, right? I love a good coward, right? Because they will never stand by their words. They'll never stand by what they say. They'll always run. They'll turn tail and run. Which says, what makes us believe we have the right guy here. So basically, he said that it's better to just shout down a racist or a transphobic speaker. They're indulging their own moral sense of validity at the expense of actually strengthening the very bigots against whom they're protesting. Yeah, that's not how freedom of speech works. Not in our country and not in a free society. We don't play games like this. So this is the water in which we're swimming at the current moment. So, this is, if you have to commit murder to get what you want politically, you are a terrorist. You are a terrorist. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand, because it's a leftist terrorism and we're living in Herbert Marcuse's world. It's okay, because anything that foments the aims of the left is okay. So, and also, like, I have to foment Austin, or I have to say Austin had said a couple, maybe last week, and had the clip of Jane Fonda on The View where she was talking about murder. Now, here's the thing. I do not believe that correlation equals causation any more than I believe that Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, because they're in Nashville, caused this crime. That's literally magical thinking. But, the rhetoric doesn't help on a national stage. That doesn't help things, because people that are not mentally all there might see things like that and get a little unhinged. But again, it's just it's just terrible. But I just wanted to contrast that story. Now, moving along here, I just wanted to share this story from North Korea, that bastion of liberty and liberalism. Kim Jong Il puts the entire city under lockdown after soldiers lost 653 bullets, and he refuses to lift it until every single one is found. So Kim Jong-un, they did, I guess, a military drill, and they couldn't find the bullets. Where are the bullets? So they shut down the entire city of Haisan in North Korea, which has a population of about 200,000 people, to look for the ammunition. So this city is going to remain on lockdown until all of these bullets are found. Now, isn't it interesting? Like, we were talking about this idea of a free society. Well, this ain't it, right? This is not a free society. They're all locked down until they find every single one of the bullets. And then the question I want to know is, why did they want the bullets in the first place? There's something about, maybe, I don't know, people maybe thinking that being armed is maybe a good thing. I don't know. Austin always says, an armed society is a polite society, which I think is funny, because it always makes me think of, like, the Old West, right? Like the Wild West, like all the cowboys just kind of walking around with strapped. Everyone's just strapped. So, that's neither here nor there. But I just thought, here's a great example of a totalitarian regime with regards to being armed. Yeah, you won't have arms. And not only that, when we lose our bullets, we're going to shut down the entire town and look for them. And we will not let you be free until we find them. It says here, residents had been looking forward to the army's withdrawal from the area, but during the investigation, they will have even less freedom of movement. A Rangang province official who requested anonymity to speak freely told the RFA, such freedom, such intense and incredible freedom. So, and on that note, well, I think here I've reached a point where I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm going to come back at half hour and talk about, I feel like today is the Black Pill show. I'm such a positive person, you guys. I really am. I'm happy-go-lucky positive. But this is just some, black pill stuff I'm giving you today. So, I apologize in advance for the grimness of the conversation today. But I'm going to take a little break here, and I'll come back and I'll talk about how how patriotism, religion, community, they're falling in the United States, and people are becoming less patriotic, less religious, and less community-oriented. So I'm going to take a little break here for a sec, and I will see you back here in about, I think it's like, 5-ish minutes or so? So I don't know how long this commercial runs. I have to kind of watch it. Austin kind of helped me get through there. So hope you all are doing well. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Take a little time to get some coffee, come back, maybe visit the AP for Liberty shop, and I'll see y'all real soon.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive. And if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning, Rise in Freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Glad to have you here with us today. My name is Justin Peterson. If you're just joining us, I'm Austin Peterson's older and sexier brother. I don't know about sexy. Cute, maybe. Sexy, debatable. I'm here this week to fill in for Austin. He's having an incredible time in Japan with his wife, Steffi. They are enjoying a much-deserved long vacation in Japan, getting to see the cherry blossoms in bloom, which only happens once a year. So I'm so excited for them, and I'm excited to be here with y'all. At first it was a little fearful. I've never done this before, but I'm really having fun. And listen, Austin works hard, y'all. He works real hard on this. Having sort of now sat in the seat of Captain Kirk, or I was saying Captain Picard earlier. There's a lot of P's and Q's you have to mind, and there's a lot of spinning plates behind this process, and a lot of work goes into the preparation for the show. So, now being on this side of the fence, I can say much respect to Austin for all the hard work he's doing. So, if you are liking what you're seeing here with the show, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, give my brothers the love. If you don't like what I'm doing, hey, it's cool, no skin off my back. I'm only going to be here a week, and then you'll get the amazing Austin back. So glad you're here, though. Glad. And somebody had posted earlier here the Ben Franklin quote that I was looking for. John Turner. Thank you, John. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Boom. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Benjamin Franklin. So glad you're here. Great to see you all this morning. Wanted to share this. This is kind of another black pill story, so apologies in advance. But I wanted to share this from the New York Post here. One second. So the Wall Street Journal found that, this is from New York Post, the traditional values like patriotism, religion, and community have plunged dramatically among Americans. The Wall Street Journal NORC survey found that just 38% of Americans say patriotism is very important to them, down from 70% who said the same in 1998. Slightly more Americans, 39%, place the same importance on religion, down from 62% who said faith was very important to them 25 years ago. The percentage of Americans who said raising children was very important fell to 30% in the new poll, down from 59% in 1998. Meanwhile, the share of Americans who valued involvement in their community as very important fell to 27%, down from a high of 62% in 2019, the last time the question was polled. One virtue long associated with liberals, a belief in tolerance for others, is now deemed very important by 58% of Americans, which is down from 80% 4 years ago. So this is a really interesting sociological piece of information. Someone had, Republican pollster Bill McInturf, I don't think I've spelled that right. Yeah, McInturf. He worked on this survey in 2019, told the paper that Monday's poll paints a new and surprising portrait of a changing America. Perhaps the toll of our political division, COVID, and the lowest economic confidence in decades is having a startling effect on our core values, he added. The poll also found that only 23% of Americans under 30 said patriotism was very important, compared to 59% of seniors 65 and older, and 31% of young respondents said religion was very important, compared to 55% of those 65 and up. I don't think, well, this is obviously very disconcerting, and I go around and round about patriotism. I think that if you've ever gone to any place internationally with other people and sat around and people kind of talk about their countries, people from other countries kind of get, really huffed up if you kind of insult their country. They get really upset. They don't like it when you make fun of their country. This sort of creeping, what I see in this survey and these results is kind of a creeping nihilism that's coming. Positivity, loving your country, as we've seen from so many different places now, is sort of being seen as congruent with being an alt-right fascist. So loving your country is wrong. That's bad. That's really bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with loving your country. I think it's the same as loving your parent. I mean, you can go, I love my mom and dad, but are they perfect? No, but I love my parents. It's like loving your country. You should love your country. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. I'm not a jingoist by any shake of the stick, but I think, this isn't good. People should feel a sense of pride in their country. and in their religion. The only thing that I can see that's replacing these things is nihilism. And let's not also ignore the fact how much information is coming out now about people depression, right? Depression is spiking. Mental illness is on the rise. People have a lack of purpose in life. Those two things may not be correlated, but they sure are close. People need something to live for in life. They need a reason to live. For some people, it's community service, and for some people, it's religion. And I feel like, or having children, for crying out loud. When you don't have these sort of markers of our societal health, you're going to fall into depression. I mean, look at the incel situation, right? The men who are involuntary celibate, all of these, and people not dating, and the dating situation and everything going on, and the availability of partners, and how dispossessed everyone feels. Where's the happiness? This is why I think we need a USO for moral, for morale. We need something to kind of get people's morale up again. And I always am coming at this from the arts, right? So I'm always thinking, well, what can we do in the arts to get people to feel connected and feel happy and uplifted? I always feel like the arts is a really good cultural place to do things like this. So, and conservatives don't like art. So come on, guys, come on, get in the pool and start to help us out here with some art. Yeah. And I think, I know that a lot of Christians are going to say, well, people just need to come back to church and everything. And I'm like, and that's great. And I think if people need that in their life and they need that sense of purpose and community, there's a lot of good to be said for that. So yeah, I just found this poll kind of blackpilling, I'm looking at the chat over here. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change things I cannot accept, and the wisdom to know where to hide the bodies when I finally snap. Ew! Want to talk about it, Robbie? Want to talk about it? Yeah. So yeah, the love of country can often be confused with approval of the government. There you go. I love that. Yeah. Yes. There you go. In a nutshell, love the country. Fear. What does it say? Love the country. Fear my government. Yeah. The government should be afraid of us, I think. But yeah, I really feel that as well, that sense of loving your country. I mean, look at, again, I am a child of immigrants. My family came to this country for a better life. And I think what's very interesting, I would be very interested in this poll information if they polled newly immigrated people to the country. I'd be very interested to see, because I have found that people who are newly immigrated to the United States within 5-10 years, who have been other places and lived in other cultural climates, they are gung-ho about America. They love it. They love it here. And I think it would be very interesting to see this information polled out for immigrants in the United States to see how they feel about the country, because I have found a lot of the immigrants I talk to, they love it, and they're so happy here versus where they immigrated from. So yeah, so we need some more happiness. How do we get it? We got to figure out how to get more happiness in this country, yeah, I mean, there's lots of solutions, right? So yeah, and this is, I just wanted to say that, here we go. For me, patriotism has turned into right-wing nationalism. I don't know if you guys remember Austin, I think this was back when Austin was on KWOS. There was a news story about people getting triggered by going down, it was Sonny Hostin on The View, going down the street and seeing like American flags and feeling like the American flag was an expression of right-wing hostility. Where do you go from there? Like, how do you get anywhere? But what's interesting is that flag is wrong, but the gay pride flag is A-okay. Like, these are conflicting things to me. So yeah, just wanted to share that, because we got to figure out some solutions. We got to figure out some ways to get some happiness in our country and restore what it means to be an American and to love your country. Loving your country does not make you right-wing. Sorry. And let's just say, if, Democrats, they should be patriotic too. I mean, really, that makes no sense to me. All right. So let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to share with you. We did that. Yeah, real quickly. I wanted to share this news. I thought this was kind of some good news. Hey, in the midst of all of the black pilling I'm giving you all this morning, the University of Missouri is no longer going to use diversity statements in hiring their faculty. In an email on Friday, President Moon Choi also said that Mizzou would no longer use its diversity faculty hiring rubric. Now, the reason I post this is because this is something that I have encountered specifically in my own experience. There was a position actually at the University of Missouri that I wanted to apply for, but they asked for a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. And I thought, I don't do loyalty pledges to political ideological belief systems. So I didn't pursue the job. I didn't pursue going for this job because of this blockade. Because I just thought, I don't do purity tests. And I feel like the DEI statement in a university, or anywhere for that matter, is a sort of a purity test because you have to answer the questions the quote unquote right way. So I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do a loyalty pledge. So I'm really actually very encouraged to see this happen. In his letter, Choi specifically cites media reports criticizing Mizzou's use of DEI statements. So yeah, again, he says, still questions remain. Universities can still solicit commitment statements, which might be a possible loophole. The language is far better than any diversity statement prompt, specifically alluding to the value of intellectual pluralism. That said, lawmakers should remain vigilant. Totally agree. I mean, listen, diversity is absolutely, we should want diversity, but diversity of thought is also equally as important. There are many ways of having diversity. And so I think my challenge is always when people say this idea about diversity, I immediately want to go, what do they mean? I want to ask them, what do they mean? Can you please clarify what you mean by diversity? And if I can get commonality of understanding terms, then we can have a productive conversation. But I think a diversity in these days and age doesn't mean diversity. It means ideological conformity. Do you conform to the ideological belief system that we have here regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion? And I think that's a problem, especially in academia, which should be a bastion of free, liberal conversations, debates, which we all know how that's going. So I actually think that this is actually a good thing. This is actually a really, really good thing that's happening. So I'm really, really happy to see this happening at the university level at the University of Missouri. So yay. All right. So here in some levity news, let me break some levity for you, okay? That bastion of Hollywood celebrity, Gwenyth Paltrow, has been in court for a ski collision that she was in, I believe in 2016. And so Gwenyth Paltrow was on the slopes, having a good old time, getting some of that sweet powder. And she was in Park City, and apparently she got bumped into or crashed into by this other skier. And during the courtroom testimony, Paltrow was asked about the losses that she'd suffered from the crash. And she said, well, we lost a half a day of skiing. And so, of course, this blew up the media sphere, and people just could not resist making fun of Gwenyth Paltrow. Busy Phillips joined the roasting. She posted a selfie of herself having cocktails. She said, well, we lost half a day of skiing. I just, again, the privilege of it all, the caucasity, if you will. It's hilarious. This is just so funny to me. And then the memes, of course, the memes are so good. Stunnage footage of protesters angry at the news of Gwenyth Paltrow's irrevocably lost half day of skiing after septuagenarian normie had the insolence to get in her regal way on the slopes. Oh, come on, Gwen. I mean, what is she? She just is always doing crazy stuff, right? With her she had that little punani candle that she was selling not too long ago. I was just like, come on. Punani candle. Hashtag, make that go viral. Thoughts and prayers to Gwenyth Paltrow, who suffered the loss of a half day of skiing. Gwenyth Paltrow, after losing a half a day of skiing. Oh, it's so cool. Mr. Sanderson, he was 76. He accused Paltrow of crashing into him on a ski slope at the Deer Valley Resort in Park City, Utah in February of 2016. He claims that the crash left him with permanent traumatic brain injury, 4 broken ribs, pain, suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, emotional distress, and disfigurement. And he's seeking more than $300,000 in damages. Meanwhile, Paltrow is saying, nope, I didn't crash into you. You crashed into me. So this trial is just hilarious. Like, example of the out of touchness of so many Hollywood celebrities. I think she came in at one point where she had like a $250 notebook that she was carrying around, like, because we do that. Like, I go to the CVS and I ask them for their most expensive notebook, and it's probably $7. Yeah, $250. So hilarious. It's just so funny. I just think this story is so funny. So anyway, what are we saying about Gwenyth Paltrow? Anything? The caucasity. Yes, the caucasity of it all. That's Camille got a call from me. Pretty cool. He was on things. My new favorite word. So funny. With the price of tickets. Yes. All right. Yes. The juice princess. The Uber juice princess. Yes. I'm done. Y'all are so funny. All right. So, wow, I kind of got through these topics so fast today. I always forget that I'm really a fast talker. I don't know. It's just a habit I have. My grandma Hazel used to always be like, Justin, you talk too fast. I can't understand what you're saying. I'm like, oh, Grandma, listen faster. But I wanted to share this article as well. I thought was kind of fun. These are some surefire ways to piss off your bartender. All right. I don't know. I don't go out to drink as much as I used to, like when I was in my 20s, but I had to learn because, listen, I grew up in a really dry house. We didn't drink all that much. And it wasn't until I was, I think in my 20s, mid 20s that I started to drink. And then when I did drink, let me tell you all about my drinking. I started drinking apple, pucker, and 7-Up. That was my drink of choice. I was probably 22. Listen, I didn't know anything about alcohol, period. And I would go into the bar and I'd be like, can I get an apple sour? And it would literally just be like, I think it was an apple, pucker, liqueur, and 7-Up. And I think I had friends that were like, you can't be friends with us and drink like that anymore. So I had to switch over to martinis. So I switched over to martinis after that. And I think I've just stuck with the martini. I think that's my go-to. Although I do like a nice Chardonnay. No, not Chardonnay. I like Sauvignon Blanc. That's my new favorite. So here are 5 things that really piss off your bartender. Anything you order like an asshole. So, and I don't know if you've ever been someplace and someone's like, well, what do you have? What do you make really good? What goes with tequila? Especially if the bar is really busy, that's like the worst thing to do. One of the things I learned in going out to bars, especially where there are a lot of people, is like, you got to kind of know what you want real quick and make it simple. I would always order gin and tonics when I would go out to the bar because they're just super fast to make. So that's, just know what you want, order it real quick. Mojitos, which I love, y'all. If you've never had a mojito in the summer, that is the moment right there. It's so good. These are so good. But it's a lot of work to do these drinks. Like there's muddling to be involved. And if it's a busy bar, it's like super, super, super busy. Mojito, I got to find mint and crush it up. Go F yourself. Yeah. So don't ask for mojitos. Cool drinks. Esoteric. Okay. So here's another example. I love a sidecar. Because, y'all, it can't be helped. I just got weird tastes. A sidecar is a drink from the 20s, and it has, oh God, help me. It's whiskey, I think, and some orange liqueur in it as well. It's really, really good. If you ever want to drink at a slow bar, order sidecar. They're really, really good. But it's really complicated, and it probably wouldn't be a great moment. He said, it's a bad drink, 3 parts gin, 1 part vodka. That's an insane ratio, plus which most bars don't refrigerate, so it's oxidized. It was famously created by Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond, a guy who was not a bartender. So complicated trash. Okay, listen, this is my rule about Bloody Marys. If I can't eat it and drink it, I'm really not interested. I need to have a drink. There's with a Bloody Mary, you got to have olives in there. That's just de rigueur. There's a French word. Camellia, $5. Celery. Sometimes they'll put other kinds of things on it, like pepperoni or cornichon. Oh, another French word. Stuff like that. So I love a good. The best Bloody Mary I ever had was in New Orleans, by the way. So good. If you ever want a good Bloody Mary, that's the place to go. But any of these really complicated drinks, obviously, no. So yeah. And then finally, Long Island iced tea. This was a real trashy drink. Did y'all drink this in college? This seemed to be the beverage of choice for a lot of people in college. It's just everything all at once. He says, finally, we look at the Undisputed King, a drink that has such a reputation that every mention of it was preceded by either an obviously or an I'm sure every single person has already told you this, but that messy, disgusting, sick brown night ruiner, the Long Island iced tea. Because the kids would just drink this to get trashed, right? Not for its difficulty or inconvenience, but generally for the red flags, asking someone to mix gin, vodka, rum, and tequila in a single glass. It raises a sampling of the many negative opinions. It's 5 different liquors. It's gross. If you order it, you probably got in the bar illegally. Facts. Because again, like, I think we were in our 20s when we were doing this drink, this Long Island iced tea. It's just such a little trashy drink. Oh my gosh. So funny. I'm going to, Camille, I'll tell you how to spell the French words later. De rigueur. Because I don't touch mops. I guess because they're dirty or they spill. Oh, that's it. What it is. Have you ever gone dancing at a club and like people spill drinks on the floor? We have a bar here in Boston, and it's like you dance and like you like while you're trying to dance because there's like spilled drinks all over the floor. You better bet your bottom dollar that I won't throw up in the sink drink. It's going to get a stiff upcharge. The Ramos Gin Fizz was a close second. So a universally agreed upon pain in the ass, heavily due to the inclusion of texturized egg whites, but one that's rarely seen, like an obnoxious Bigfoot. If you truly are in this world to cause pain, though, it will absolutely ruin a night. So yeah, I kind of think that you go easy when you're at the bar. I just go easy. And I gotta respect the guys who just kind of go in and get the beer. Austin's been really exploring these Japanese beers lately. Gosh, I wish I could remember what they were. German one, maybe if he's watching, he'll say. But he's been getting into these as well. And maybe while they're in Japan, they'll get into that. I hope they get some sake too, which I always love when I go out for sushi. And finally, I've been doing these book recommendations, so I gotta close because I'm a teacher. I gotta be a teacher. But I really wanted to share another book that has been helpful for me in my, I guess you could call it deconversion, right? This book is called Liberating the Mind: Overcoming Sociocentric Thought and Egocentric Tendencies. This is published by a company, I think it's called the Critical Thinking Foundation. It's published here in the United States. This book has been amazing to read. Yesterday's book I recommended was Eric Hoffer's The True Believer, which, again, still a favorite. And it very much is in the same track of how we are so primed to be sociocentric and think about the group. But this is so good because it helps you realize where your biases are with regard to sociocentrism. And if you don't know what sociocentrism is, basically it's a fancy word that just means being concerned only with the group. It sort of subsumes the idea of individualism, and it's a really, really good book. And I really recommend this to anybody who is thinking about, how can I watch out for groupthink? How can I watch, because I do believe that we are we're running pell-mell into collectivism. And I'm not a collectivist. And I think for those of us who value individualism, it's important for us to know the signs of collectivism. I think there's a great C.S. Lewis quote that says, to the crowd that is running off a cliff, the man running in the other direction looks insane. So when everyone else is running off of the cliff together in mass, the person who isn't and is going in the opposite direction looks insane. So yeah, this book, love it. Definitely recommend it. It's on Amazon, Kindle, you can get it. I just want to say a real quick shout out to everybody who's been watching. Thank you, Tolly Owens. Tolly Owens is here. Yay. I think it's Matt Unruh is here. Robbie's here. Thanks so much. Sarah is here. Dances with squirrels. Don't dance with wolves. Dance with squirrels. Quest Fanning. I just want to say thank you to everybody so much for coming today. I'm so glad that y'all got to be here. Thanks for my second day. I feel like it went a little bit smoother. I'm learning as I go here. I think the internet was pretty good today. Yes. This is where Austin would push the applause button, and I don't have the applause button. So I'll just give myself applause. Yeah, I think it really, really went good. So thank you so much, y'all, for coming. And I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you back tomorrow, and I'll have more ideas for you. And we'll have things we want to talk about. I will too. Have a great day. Sorry for the black pill show of all the sadness, y'all, but go out and have a good day. Hug your loved ones. Tell people you love them. And I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Can you believe we did it? We did it, guys. Yoo! I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.